How do you empower the next generation for success? I was just chilling out in this chair because, I bring my chair to the park when I'm with the kids, and Michaela is riding her bike and hanging out. And all of a sudden, these three boys approach. Now, these boys are 13 years old, basically. I figured they were in middle school already, but they came up, and the first thing they did is they had a sign. And it was like very colorful and was very well written. Like they had very nice penmanship. And they were selling drinks. So they had Sprite, Coke, water. And then they had the price, $2. First of all, that's pretty damn reasonable for considering how much we spend in the stores to get this stuff. So I'm like, okay. But I didn't have any cash on me. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? Fortunately, I live across the street, so it's not a big deal for me to run back home and grab some money. But the first time they come by and they're like, hey, excuse me, we're selling this. Would you like some? Now, it is hot today, and it's a perfect time to get a drink. And sometimes I crave something a little sweeter than water. And I'm like, you know what? I'd actually kind of like a Coke. I haven't had one in a while. It's not the healthiest thing, but sometimes I get that little craving and it's a treat. And this has been happening a lot where kids come up to me or they ask for help or they have something that they've got for sale, and I really want to support this because I'm looking at these kids and I'm like, okay, so they took my no, they understood. It's like I didn't have any cash on me. I felt bad, but it's like I don't have any cash on me. I don't really bring cash to the park. And then the next thing is they go over to another dad on the bench and they ask him the same thing. He doesn't have any cash either. And I'm looking at these boys and I'm watching. It's like they have this tenacity. They're out there doing this. What are they doing this for? So I asked them, it's like, excuse me, boys, what are you doing this for? I thought maybe they were raising money for school or maybe it was like for something else. It was simple. It was like he wants to buy a new leash for his dog. So it is something personal for himself, but he's roped his friends into it. So his friends are all like, yeah, we're going to help you get a leash for your dog. So this is obviously important enough that they're in on this with them. They're good friends. And I'm like, you know what? Tell you what, boys, I don't normally do this. And I don't normally do this. But I'm like, they seem like trustable little boys that I can see my son turning into one of these young men at some point. I'd be really honored if he did. So I say, okay, here's the thing. I live just across the street. If you can watch my chair, watch our stuff, and I've got my phone and everything with me, so nothing valuable. But I'm like, if you can watch our stuff, I'm going to run across the street with my daughter. We'll get and we're going to buy two. So it's like instead of you getting $2, they think they're getting $4. Now, I didn't tell them the actual thing that I was planning to do. It's like I knew I had a $5 bill in my purse. And so I went into my purse and I pulled out a $5 bill and I brought it back. And they're like, no, we have change. I'm like, no, take your abundance. Because I'm already trying to teach them. It's like, look, I want you to have this extra because I am so impressed with the fact that you have this entrepreneurial spirit. And like I asked them, it's like, have you read the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens? And they're like, well, we don't do a lot of reading, which our generations to come, we're gonna have to turn that around. I mean, I'm making Hunter understand that like reading is important, and I'm gonna instill that value into the kids. But hearing that, it's like most kids don't read, but they had at least the idea. It's like, okay, well, I think we have it. But he actually took out his phone and started writing the note that, like, to get this book. And I'm like, okay, good. Like, you're already taking some constructive criticism and you're willing to learn. So then I went further and it's like, well, I'm an entrepreneur myself. So like that book changed my life when I was a kid. And like, I can highly recommend it because it did. It changed my life. Like I probably wouldn't have had the success mindset if it wasn't for that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. which is the one written by Stephen Covey's son, Sean Covey. But like that book was part of it. Like it was that one and Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. Those books, I read them when I was 13 years old. I read them when I was 14. Like these were the steps that I took. And I also was into psychology. So I'm like, okay, read that book. And I also mentioned, it's like very, very casually. It's like, you know, I'm friends with millionaires and like I'm an entrepreneur and I've got a book, and like they're, oh, what's your business? I'm like, well, I help women who want to have a natural birth. I mean, these kids, they're not going to remember that too much, but it's like, well, you know, I at least have a business. So I am already like a mom who has done something in her life. That's like probably, the fact that I've written a book is probably like, whoa, she wrote a book. And she's also like super nice. And I'm like, would you like me to share just some other tips that I've learned from like what I've learned about success? And they're like, yeah. And I said, okay, well, one is collaboration is key. And I brought it back to point out, it's like, you guys have already got that down. Like nobody gets like successful on their own. If you want to be successful, you've got to have people around you. You've got to collaborate. And you've done a really great job getting together. Like you boys are just awesome. Like I'm really like impressed here. And then the other one, of course, is you're going to have crying in the shower moments. I wanted to say those two because, first of all, the fact that they had gotten together and done this was incredible. But also because if I hadn't run home to get that $5 for them, like they had already asked me and I said I don't have any money. And then they went and asked another parent at the park and he didn't have any cash. But he wasn't the one who then decided, well, you know what, it's actually worth it. I did. So even though they both got, like, they first got the no, and they might have been like, oh, nobody has any cash. Nobody wants to actually buy anything, and I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm like, look, even the most successful people have those crying in the shower moments. They've had moments where they're like, nothing's working. So as long as you don't give up, you can't fail. Just keep going. And I think I left those boys feeling pretty good about themselves. And it's just, I love doing this. I love being able to empower the new generations. Like, it's great already being a mom, but like also empowering other kids, it warms my heart. So that's what I wanted to share with you. But yeah, just keep empowering the younger generations, because if they are told that their dreams are possible, then they'll keep going for it. But if you keep discouraging them to try to protect them and tell them, oh, the real world is just going to kick you down, they're not going to try. So when you see kids out there selling anything, even if you're not going to buy, take the time to appreciate that they are doing something that a lot of kids aren't doing. A lot of kids don't have that entrepreneurial spirit because it's either been like crushed out of them, or they are just like so apathetic, they just don't care. And if you want to have a more incredible world as they grow up, and like these are the next generation of adults. You have to remember that. These aren't just stupid kids that are going to stay stupid kids for the rest of their lives. These are kids that could change the world if we just give them the chance to do it. So whatever it is that they're selling, even if it's something that you know nobody's really going to buy, give them that little guidance. And if you are an entrepreneur yourself and you have those success mindsets, don't just assume that because they're kids, they're not going to get it. Find a way to explain it to them so that they really get it, and empower them and show them where they're already winning, and show them with love and guidance how they can make it even better, and give them a little reward when you can, just because. And don't take their, oh no, it's okay, I don't need it, for an answer, because they've been taught to not accept extra. They have a story around that, and they need to be able to receive with abundance so that when they go out, that they're not undercharging their worth, and they're confident and they're surviving and thriving. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. I'm going to go back to chilling out. Now I'm going to drink my pop and read my book. All right, bye.